it's 2 minutes past the hour, so we're gonna get started, I think. So, hi everyone, welcome to the webinar. My name is Alex Fleming, and today's webinar is going to be about how to improve your customer experience through speech technology. So, for those of you who are not familiar with SpeechMatic, we are a machine learning company that specializes in speech recognition. In its simplest forms, we take voice and we transform it to text. We do this with fantastic levels of accuracy in over 30 different languages, on-premise or in the cloud, to unlock the value of voice. This can be used in a variety of different use cases, from straight-up transcription to captioning, and in the contact center, organizations can use SpeechMatic's ASR engine to innovate with voice and extract its value to enrich their business processes. I'll be making this webinar as interactive as possible, so I'll have a couple of polls dotted throughout the webinar. It would be great to get your insight on the questions raised as we move through. You can raise questions actually at any time, and I'll aim to answer as many as I can at the end. So please feel free to write them in the questions section in the GoToWebinar control panel. This webinar is scheduled to be around 40 minutes long, and then we'll try and do about 10 to 15 minutes of questions at the end. So for some of you who aren't familiar with SpeechMatic, I just wanted to do a really quick intro into who we are and what we do. So our vision essentially is to unlock meaning at scale through the ability to transcribe voice. Our mission, to set the standard when it comes to speech recognition. What we do, well, our any context speech recognition engine empowers companies to rapidly build innovative applications with voice. We work across loads of different sectors, from contact center, CRM, consumer electronics, security, media, compliance, e-discovery. Essentially, wherever you find voice is where you'll find SpeechMatic. We are based in Cambridge, but we also have offices in Denver, Chennai in India, and Brno in the Czech Republic. So customer experience and engagement has never been so important. Machine learning and artificial intelligence are enabling contact centers to make data-driven decisions to influence these factors. Analytics of agent and customer interactions make quality experience possible. But analytics of voice data is pretty much only possible with accurate transcription to underpin it. In this webinar, I'm going to discuss how contact centers can improve their customer experience by using voice technology. I'm going to give a brief overview of 10 ways that voice technology can improve customer experience. I'll then dive into more detail around 3 of these ways and offer some explanations on how contact centers can utilize the power of voice technology. These 3 areas that I talked about are going to be to obtain a 360-degree view of the customers, how to speed up dispute resolution and try to achieve first call resolution, and how to improve agent performance. And then finally, we'll give some predictions on the future use of voice technology within the contact center. Before we really get started, it's worth mentioning that SpeechMatic has just published a smart guide on this topic. And for more detail, you can find out more by downloading the smart guide from the URL on the screen. So I'll give everyone a couple of seconds just to make a note of that. Okay, so to start, we need to address why customer experience is so important in the contact center. Customer experience is a priority for all brands. And when it comes to an end user's interaction with their brand of choice, often it will be a contact center's agent that is the first human representative of the brand they're trying to contact. For this reason, agents are under pressure to ensure customers have the best experience possible. The ramifications of bad experience is that it can have a direct impact on revenues, not just the NPS score of an agent. Research from Magnetic North revealed that 71% of customers would consider moving to a competitor if they had to repeat a query to multiple contact center agents. They also found that 32% of customers would move to a competitor immediately if the business did not meet their expectations for response time. This was later echoed by a study by PwC, which revealed again that 32% of customers would consider leaving a brand, even one they loved, due to just one poor experience. And what's the cost of poor customer experience? Well, CX is a powerful motivator, and the impact of poor experience can cause customers to churn, even if they didn't originally plan to do so. A recent study by CallMiner in their Churn Index 2010-20 reported that unplanned churn represents over 6 million consumers in the UK each year. And when we're talking financials, this represents a cost to UK suppliers of almost £5 billion every year. With organisations making it easier to onboard new customers, it's never been so important to ensure there are never any reasons for customers to churn. So I said we were going to try and do an interactive session as best as we could. And this is our first poll. So what's the priority for your business? Is it customer experience, revenue optimization, reduce the cost of operation, reputation, or even other? So I've added other as an option, as I'm sure there are far more business priorities depending on your market vertical over the ones I've listed. If you do have some priorities that I've not included in the list, I'd ask you to add them to the comment section. This is really helpful for us, so SpeechMatic can continue to learn about the areas that are priority to both our partners and you guys in the market, and ensure that our product continues to consider these priorities and address them. So customer experience coming out on top. So 82% of you guys are saying that that's priority. And revenue optimization is equal there to reducing the cost of operation, which, so I suppose those two are relatively closely linked. But that's really interesting. And yeah, if you guys have added, I'll just check it out, see if you guys have added anything in the questions bit as well. Cool. Okay. Thanks very much, guys. That's really, really helpful. And we will continue on with the webinar. Okay. So in a recent study conducted by us as SpeechMatic, we found that 86% of contact centers identified that customer experience could be directly uplifted through the adoption of voice technology. Having recognized that customer experience is vital, it's next important to understand how to improve it. Contact centers use omni-channel approach to enable customers to interact on their terms. The majority of these channels are text-based, making it easy to feed these interactions into NLP tools to derive insight. These text-based interactions can then be fed into analytics engines to get a better understanding of those customer interactions. But voice can be more difficult. If contact centers or the solution providers that supply the contact centers aren't using best-of-breed speech-to-text technologies to leverage the voice that exists, it means that the richest source of customer interaction data and some of the most valuable insights could be lost. According to a Microsoft study, 44% of customers in the US preferred to interact over the phone as their primary customer service channel. This was significantly higher than live chat, which was a second most preferred channel at 23%. With so many calls coming through the contact center, not using voice tech leaves the opportunity for a lot of this data to remain untouched. Contact centers have recorded calls for a long time, mainly to appease compliance and dispute purposes. And if these recordings already exist, then it's a natural step to transcribe them. This then provides an opportunity to generate value from what could be an untapped resource. Research from Call Center Helper suggests that contact centers analyze less than 3% of all their interactions. This leaves a massive 97% of call data untouched, with the justification being that it's too difficult to evaluate audio formats. This further strengthens the argument to transcribe call recordings to generate knowledge. We're now in a much more data-driven business world. It's vital for organizations to capture and evaluate the customer interactions, not only to ensure they're delivering best service and experience, but also to meet compliance and understand where they can make improvements. With the contact center the focal point of customer insight, it's here where information about the entire customer journey can be found. Not capturing voice and leveraging the value of information held within due to expense or complexity is becoming less and less of an acceptable strategy. Sophisticated and cutting-edge speech tech enables organizations to quickly and easily transcribe 100% of their calls with the highest levels of accuracy. Additionally, simple integration through APIs accelerates the time to live of these kinds of solutions for contact centers to use as part of their existing solution stack. Customer experience can be improved through the evaluation of customer interactions, from email and SMS to IVR type solution and customer calls. The need for analytics is essential. Omnichannel text platforms can be combined with voice data from customer calls to provide a rich and unified data set for contact centers and wider businesses that the contact centers form a part of. It gives organizations, through their contact centers, access to data on the voice of the customer to ascertain what customers want, importantly, what they don't want, their issues, challenges, and what represents success when it comes to resolutions. Improving the customer experience isn't always about conversation between agents and customers and ensuring that those agents are delivering the right information. It's all about understanding where CX might have fallen down within the wider customer journey. For example, in a buying experience, here the information on a product could be great and so motivate a purchase. The purchase and checkout experience could also be good, but the item could take a long time to be delivered. When it is delivered, the experience of using that product could meet expectations and be great. Finally, if the caller then calls the contact center to complain about the long delivery, but they have a really good experience with the agent, the NPS score is going to be high as well. Here, poor experience is due to a breakdown in another area of the buyer journey, which actually falls out of the contact center. However, it's through the contact center, which has the power to identify these issues, which can deliver a data-driven means of fixing these identified issues. The evolution and evaluation of the conversation and visibility of other channels makes it also the ability to understand common trends and enable an organization to focus on areas that they need to improve. This can only really be done through a complete and unified means of capturing all interactions from both text and voice. Traditionally, contact centers recorded calls for compliance and dispute purposes, like we mentioned, but now they're using voice technology to transform these calls into valuable text assets. This then can be fed into natural language processing tools to provide meaningful and actionable insights from the voice data that they have. Market Research Futures expects that the global contact center analytics market will reach an approximate $1.52 billion by 2023. Analytics provides considerable efficiencies for contact centers, which we'll dive into a little bit more later on in the webinar. From analyzing the voice of the customer to agents and internal processes, analytics empowers contact centers and businesses to improve their customer experience. These analytics also help to understand internal workflows, identify knowledge or training gaps, and roll out data-driven programs and campaigns, even by people like the marketing departments. For example, data taken from unfiltered customer interactions provides a wealth of information about the customer. This data can then be used to improve engagement across all customer touchpoints. Analytics then helps brands transform bad experiences into good ones and overall improve the customer experience they can deliver. So we know that analytics is important. How can you derive new meaning and actionable insights from voice data? Analytics provides a lot of value to the contact center. However, its application is limited without accurate transcription to underpin it. It's estimated that contact centers capture billions of hours of voice data each year. Voice technology makes call data accessible immediately and at the fraction of the storage capability and capacity. This data means it can be used for analytics, which can then inform training and improve agent performance and ultimately the customer experience. Not any speech-to-text service will do, however. With so many customer interactions taking place over the phone, it's never been more important to transform the voice data into text. It doesn't matter how good your analytics solution is, If the speech-to-text capability is not best in class, all other solutions in your technology stack will be at a disadvantage right from the word go. For an analytics platform to add real value, it needs to be fed high-quality input. Accurate transcriptions of customer insights are therefore essential. Whether it's leveraging real-time speech-to-text to route a caller to a specifically trained agent to personalize an interaction, or to determine sentiment of a call to invoke a specific response, the need for accurate transcription is essential and key. Converting calls into text enables organizations to consolidate call data obtained from omni-channel sources. Evaluating insights across all customer touchpoints allows organizations to analyze and identify areas of improvement and best practices. Contact centers can then use these insights to provide customers with what they want, when they want it, and importantly, how they want it too. So, we have some context around how voice technology is related to analytics and how contact centers can derive meaning from the value of customer interactions. So here are the 10 things that we think contact centers can improve customer experience using voice technology. So these include a 360 view of the customer to better understand who our customers are coming to the contact centers and what their requirements are. Speed up dispute resolution, providing the tools needed to optimize that experience through a nice, fast route to resolution. Improve customer satisfaction, kind of related to the previous step, which is, deliver them the means that they can be satisfied with the responses they're getting. They're informed, and so are the agents. Leverage sentiment analysis. So use text-based outputs to feed into sentiment analytics tools. Identify best practices. So in that way, you can understand where a good experience is given, and then you can use that again. Improve agent performance. And this has a range of use cases from creating knowledge bases and uplifting the capabilities of those, delivering better training to those agents to therefore uplift the experience they're able to deliver, and improve job satisfaction for those agents. Effective call routing is another one that can utilize speech technology to help. And also things like interaction history, by using the automatic nature of automatic speech recognition to take some of those mundane tasks away from the agent and deliver them more time back to add value to other things that only they can deliver. Identifying risk and compliance, reducing those risk elements, and so reducing potential fines that might come off the back of that. And also using things like automated tool processes, so the use of deflecting calls away by the use of automatic tools. Additional information around all of these points is covered comprehensively in the SpeechMatic Smart Guide that I shared a link to at the beginning of the webinar. Additionally, we're also going to cover a little bit more information on some of the points that we raised here. So with that said, we're going to dive into our second poll of the webinar. So we've grabbed kind of the top entries from that list of 10, but I'm keen to understand, what denotes value for you guys. Is it one of those things on that list, or are there other elements? Like I said before, if there are other elements, please add them to the chat. That would be great, or the questions. And so we can get good visibility there. That would be really helpful. Cool. Okay. So this is really interesting, actually. So we've got, at the moment we've got quite a high score for sentiment analysis. That's really helpful to understand, and improve agent performance. So that's fantastic because it's one of the key points that we're going to focus on a little bit later. And in fact, that's winning by quite a good margin now. So that's fantastic to know. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone, for contributing to those. That's really helpful for us to validate some of the research that we've done. Okay, so let's dive into more detail on 3 of the topics that we mentioned earlier. And those are going to be a 360 view of customers, which got around 13% of our poll, which is great. Speeding up dispute resolution to achieve first call resolution. That one wasn't as high as the other ones, which is really interesting. And then also improving agent performance, which is great because that kind of won that latest poll. So fantastic stuff. So a 360 view of the customer. So by recording and analysing every customer interactions, companies can get an understanding of the voice of their customers. But despite all calls having been recorded, as we mentioned earlier, according to Call Centre Helper, contact centres still only analyse less than 3% of interactions. This is in part due to the cost and complexities of analysing so much data and the capability to action the findings. Companies are missing out on a wealth of information on the voice of the customer if they're trying to gain understanding and information through calls that remain in an audio format. Not only are they limiting the knowledge that they're able to extract, but they're also exposed to compliance risk, as it's unlikely that we'll have a full visibility of the content of 97% of the rest of the calls that are happening. By recording and transcribing calls, 100% of interactions can be analysed. This enables companies to get a better understanding of their customers' pain points and offer opportunities for agent training and development in specific areas. Using analytics to identify root causes and issues speeds up issue resolution or has the potential to even eliminate it. In turn, first call resolution can be achieved and customer satisfaction can be improved significantly. But essentially, voice technologies underpins the benefits of analytics. Recording calls and transcribing them and transforming them into text using voice technology enables companies to archive and analyze voice data. This data can then be combined with other text-based customer interactions to provide a complete picture of the customer journey. With voice tech, contact centers are no longer restricted to analyzing just a small percentage of customer interactions. Call data can be unlocked at scale, increasing the value and meaning 100% of customer interactions can be looked at. Customer experience is improved by evaluating the conversations that customers have with your agents. The first crucial step to solving a problem is to know that it's there and understanding it to ensure that you can deliver a solution that's not only right for the customer, but also delivers cost efficiencies for the contact center and wider business. When it comes to speeding up dispute resolution and providing first call resolution, voice technology helps brands find behavioral patterns, meaning that issues can be solved instantly and helping brands achieve this first call resolution. Resolving customer disputes over multiple calls actually damages the customer experience and perception of the brand. Research from Atlassian indicates that customer satisfaction drops by as much as 15% each time a customer has to call back to try and resolve a single issue. It's therefore imperative to understand why customers aren't happy. This understanding helps to speed up the dispute process and even eliminate it altogether. Voice technology enables contact centers to understand their customers' pain points and any other common issues, which helps inform best practices. It means that agents have a better chance to deliver this first call resolution, which can stop customers from churning, improve the overall customer experience. And even more so, it can identify issues that might be able to be solved by the customer's ability to self-serve, reducing call volumes and the associated costs of the call center, all from better understanding the issues and knowing the best ways to solve them. So if we focus on this first call resolution, contact centers strive for this metric. They understand that customer satisfaction diminishes rapidly every time they have to have more and more interactions. Voice technology helps contact centers to speed up their issue resolution to a single exchange. It does this by transforming voice into text to be fed into analytic solutions and get a full picture of the customer and agent's interactions. Voice technology enables these contact centers to analyze the voice of the customer to understand their journey and pain points, and also identify behavioral patterns across previous use cases or similar issues. Back to the example I made earlier, if a brand understands the customer was happy with whatever they purchased, but was unhappy with the delivery method of the product, they can make necessary changes to the logistical processes or speak to relevant teams to enhance this part of the customer journey and therefore enhance customer satisfaction and experience. Voice technology enables these companies to consolidate every interaction across all customer touchpoints to provide a wealth of metadata-rich information. This information is then used by analytics to solve customer issues throughout the journey. So this was the one that kind of won the poll. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into some more information around this and explore some of the findings that we concluded through the Smart Guide. So voice technology like transcription isn't just useful for things like analytics. The transformation of speech to text enables recorded interactions between agents and customers to be accessible at speed, delivering advanced and accelerated indexing and searchability, which agents can use to rapidly query caller questions, especially in live call instances. Additionally, voice data that is easily searchable enables contact centers to evaluate agent performance at scale. This helps to develop more personalized training objectives for each agent, as well as also ensuring agents remain compliant regarding the information that they deliver to a caller. Contact centers can identify agents that consistently deliver quality customer experience, helping managers to discover and recognize these high-performance agents. Examples of this great CX can then be shared to uplift the performance of the wider team and even the organization. So here are some of the other areas that voice technology can optimize when it comes to improving agent performance. Knowledge bases. Millions of hours of calls are recorded in contact centers every year. But until recently, this data had been difficult and expensive to access. Accessing all call records required specialist teams to extract data by listening to calls, making this a timely and very costly experience and process. Voice technology makes call data accessible at scale. Text-based call data is easy to store, locate, and access. Contact centers can then use this data to create sophisticated knowledge bases from customer interactions and their agents' responses. When agents and customers need that extra little bit of help, this data can provide agents with dispute resolution best practices by extracting topics, themes, and words from customers' interactions. New best practices can then be indexed and further grow the knowledge base to ensure agents continue to deliver best-in-class support. So better agent training. Agents are a contact center's greatest asset, so empowering them to do their jobs more effectively is key. Agents provide significant value by delivering exceptional customer service. Contact centers can use voice technology to unlock previously untouched call data to provide agents with training and development opportunities. Transcripts can be used to identify how issues have been solved in the past and improve the customer journey by achieving first contact resolution. Transcripts of calls can also be used for compliance and auditing to minimize risk and the associated costs. Where previously training may have been focused on generalized messaging to improve the customer experience and ensure compliance, now voice technology within contact centers can offer new and personalized training-based operations on real-life interactions between customers and their agents. So this leads on to kind of real-time training. So onboarding and training agents require significant time and effort. Strategies often involve shadowing senior team members and being accompanied on calls to ensure agents are interacting with customers as they're expected to be. Through real-time speech technology, training opportunities can be delivered direct to those agent screens to provide assistance in real-world call use cases. This can optimize the effectiveness of agents by automatically monitoring the conversations and delivering prompts to the agents or additional information based on keywords that occur within the conversations. In terms of onboarding new agents, this frees up time for senior team members to help to equip agents with the information they need to offer best-in-class customer experience much faster than before. And finally, which I think is incredibly important, is to provide improved job satisfaction for agents. So voice technology enables contact center managers to augment their workforce. It allows contact centers to deploy sophisticated speech-enabled technology to deflect callers away from agents for high volume, low skilled tasks like password resets, for example. Offloading these mundane tasks that can be performed by bots, automated systems, or even through delivering better FAQs on a website means that agents can focus on issues that only humans can solve. Making sure that agents' time is used for appropriate requests means that they remain challenged, fulfilled, and feel valued. This is important to ensure agent retention, especially after so much time and resource has been invested in their training and development. Fulfilled agents who are trained in delivering exceptional customer experience are likely to deliver just that, and more so than a new and inexperienced agent. So as part of this, we're going to talk about kind of predictions of this technology in the future, and we can't really get away from the current situation that we're all in regards to the COVID-19 epidemic. So I actually found this image on Forbes blog, which I thought was actually quite poignant in regards to the motivations to adopt things like speech technology and digital transformation. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of predictions that kind of I see that could potentially happen. So the recent COVID-19 situation has forced businesses and contact centers to rapidly change how they do business. Working from home and a more disparate workforce has meant more and more contact centers understand the value of adopting technologies to ensure resilience and the ability to work in any location while still delivering the best-in-class customer service. Additionally, contact centers have seen higher and higher call volumes than ever before, while staff numbers have fallen due to work-life commitments or poor health amidst the pandemic. This has highlighted a need not only to automate tools to assist teams of agents at full strength, but also fortify teams who are struggling to meet demand and those workforces who are compromised. Voice technology has the ability to deflect calls, making it easier for contact centers to meet demand and ensure customer experience remains as high as possible, even in these challenging scenarios and situations. It's unlikely that things like a global pandemic will be a regular occurrence. We certainly hope not, but organizations should still be scenario planning for worst case scenarios and have plans in place to make sure that they can meet them head on. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted that digital transformation activities and next generation solutions like speech recognition and wider voice services are not just nice to haves, they're essential business tools. For those who are sat on the fence regarding voice technology, the current situation is the biggest motivator yet to seriously investigate these technologies and leverage them to deliver customer experience and insight into the business like never before. Adoption of technologies like voice can have significant impact on how challenging elements can be met and managed by doing some of the heavy lifting by themselves to maintain customer experience, especially for those callers who are in need. COVID aside, the contact centers have always been a hub of innovation. With a track record of early adoption of new technology that has delivered great success and they have been the front runners when compared to other markets. This has then forced technology providers, SpeechMatic included, to continue to innovate with things like voice technologies to meet the demands of these industries and these early adopters within them. In addition to those early adopters wanting to see greater levels of sophistication from voice technologies, end users are now even more expectant of these types of technologies being used by organizations and understand themselves how the use of things like voice technology can actually accelerate their interactions with the contact center and enable them to resolve the issues that they've highlighted faster and more securely. For this reason, there is pressure for contact centers to apply these types of solutions to maintain a competitive position in the market and ensure that they're not losing customers to rival brands due to a lack of technologies that their consumers expect. If they've not done so already, organizations also need to look more and more at how they use voice technology, not just to service their consumers, but also how to enhance their own internal processes. The transcription of internal meetings within organizations, interactions and other use cases strengthen business directives and then cascade into empowering the frontline staff, like agents, to deliver increased CX. So, in conclusion, give you a rest from me talking for a while. To improve customer experience and engagement, contact centers need to make the most of the data that they have to make data-driven decisions. The need to analyze data across all customers and employee touchpoints, be it SMS, email, IVR, internal workflows, or customer calls, is essential to inform these decisions. Voice technology is underpinned by accurate analysis of the voice of the customer. Voice tech means that you have the ability to know the answers, but also the knowledge that finding the information is fast and easy. Voice technology makes it easy to archive and evaluate 100% of customer interactions. Contact centers can find patterns and trends within interactions to inform decisions that impact the customer experience. Combining insights obtained by analyzing voice data and other omnichannel sources, contact centers can get a representational view of the customers across all of the touchpoints. They can evaluate agents from different perspectives, improve agent training in real time, highlight best practices, and get feedback on every interaction made within or even outside of the contact center. At a time when customer experience and engagement has never been so important, machine learning and artificial intelligence are enabling contact centers to make data-driven decisions to influence these factors. Speech technology makes quality customer experience possible. But remember, any tool that utilizes voice data is only possible with accurate transcription to power it. And with that, guys, we're going to move on to the question section. So I will do my best to look at some of the questions here. You'll have to bear with me because my window to see them is actually very, very small. So bear with me. Okay, so there's a question about it being very difficult to segregate customer and agent voices. So SpeechMatic actually have a number of features, diarization features that enable this separation and to try and identify the speakers. We're actually going through a beta program at the moment, as we know this is a really valuable feature, and we're trying to continually improve it like we do our language models. So we do have features within our product offering that enables this splitting out of multiple speakers within a transcript. So there's a question in regards to integration. So we have a WebSockets API for real-time transcription. That's the one that we support. We are API driven, which means that we try and make it as easy as possible for our partners to interact with our solution. There's another question about German dialects. So German is one of the languages that we have within our language portfolio. We have what we call like a global position when it comes to building languages, where some people will have multiple language offerings that specialize in specific accents and dialects. We don't do that. We have one language that includes as many accents, dialects as possible that we can do. What this means is that we can work with our partners to include additional data within those to uplift accuracy if they're required to. But also, it just means from an operational point of view, there's only ever like a single language pack that's utilized by our partners, which makes the operation deployment a lot easier. Let me see what other questions. So there's a question about how accurate is sentiment analysis. So just to be super clear, SpeechMatic focuses on transcription. That is what we do. We're really, really good at it. We transcribe voice into text. When it comes to analytics, we have a number of partners who provide this as an additional service that's then powered by SpeechMatic. So they take the transcription that we provide, and then they can use that as well as other elements to deliver sentiment analysis. So if there's any questions around that, we can certainly take them offline, and we can even do some introduction to some of our partners to give you additional information on things like sentiment analysis, if that's something that's important to you. So there's a question in regards to kind of like CSAT scoring. So specific call, sorry, I'm just moving through here. So yeah, in regards to CSAT scoring, so again, we have partners who use the output that we deliver to enable them to use this as a, use the transcription that SpeechMatic provides them to then feed into additional NLP or their own IP to then deliver these kinds of information for them. So SpeechMatic takes that that voice, delivers a really high quality transcript for it, and that enables that to then be fed into different business practices. So whether that's sentiment or whether that's a CSAT scoring type solution, or even if that's like plumbed directly back into the agent's portal that they're using. So we talked about interaction history. So, I think there's a statistic that says something like 33% of agents' time is spent writing up notes. You can automate that. You can give that time back. You can, empower those agents. They don't have to sit there and type up notes. If they miss something, there's a good chance that the person who called in isn't going to talk to that agent again. And so having a really comprehensive script of what happened is incredibly important. And so, yeah, you can feed that transcription right back into that portal if that's the use case. So how many speakers can SpeechMatic recognize? On channel diarization, we can do 6. So 6 unique channels. So we can transcribe those all kind of individually and then merge them together. So that helps eliminate crosstalk. So when you're transcribing for crosstalk. I had a couple of questions ahead of the webinar, so I'm just going to grab some of those as well. I think that I've addressed all of the questions that have been raised, but obviously please get in touch if I've not answered your question. So some of the other questions is, what type of phone answering device do you recommend? So as I mentioned earlier, SpeechMatic's focus on transcription. So in regards to hardware, we're kind of not the right person to advise in regards to the hardware that should be utilized. What we do say though is that the better that recording device, the better quality that headset is, that microphone is, delivers a good chance of delivering as better transcription as possible. We always say high quality in, high quality out, and any way that partners can utilize high quality hardware certainly does help when it comes to transcription. So how good is SpeechMatic at transcribing alphanumeric expressions like IBAN numbers? So this is a really good question, actually. And people often talk about transcription accuracy around word error rates and things like that. Now, whilst word error rates are important from an evaluation point of view, and it's a common metric that's used throughout the industry, what we're trying to do is look at more elements of speech to understand how we can apply those to deliver a more accurate transcript that maybe aren't around word error rate. We've rolled out things like advanced punctuation with more punctuation elements than ever before to uplift the output of our solution. And recently, we've just done the start of an improved number recognition project. And what we've done there is we've done consistent number recognition of numbers less than 10 in English as words rather than digits. Now, that might not necessarily work with some of the use cases you've got. You might need digits. However, by having a consistent format, it means that these can be normalized, if you will, and converted, and having a consistent output helps here. So another couple of questions are, so what kind of data do you require from customers to make speech recognition model better? So audio data is fantastic. So we try and put together as diverse a language model packs as we can to capture as many of those accents and dialects as possible. Though we do have an incredibly close relationship with our partners, and it's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on, is working with our partners to really deeply understand their use cases, their audio profiles, the challenge that they have, and work with them to develop ways of uplifting the accuracy that they see. In addition to this, we also have a feature within the product portfolio called Custom Dictionary. And this kind of addresses a question that comes up a little bit later, which is tailoring those language models to specific use cases. Obviously, there's a huge breadth of use cases in the market, and there might be specific vocabulary or names or product designations, things like that. And so by having Custom Dictionary and being able to bias the SpeechMatic model, depending on your requirements and vocabulary, enables our partners to, take the any context speech recognition products that we deliver to them and really customize them and adapt them to their needs. And this is something that continues through our roadmap as well. So this is something that we're looking at further developing. So please keep your eyes open for those kinds of features that will be hopefully developed and delivered really soon. So changes after and during the pandemic. So I tried to touch on those as best as I could. Obviously, organizations will have totally different ways of reacting to the pandemic and delivering these kinds of solutions. So we certainly see that by using speech technology, especially in the deflection models, you can utilize ASR and automated systems to help agents where they might previously have been had more people around them, for instance. So yeah, we think that certainly speech technology can help in these situations, and hopefully I covered it in some of the content within the webinar. But if you have any further questions, then please reach out to us. Let us know what your use cases are, what challenges you've got, and we can, we'd love the opportunity to speak more about it. There's a question about accuracy. Let me just read it quickly. Okay, so this kind of talks about specific kind of IDs and elements like that, which I think that we kind of addressed earlier in some of the other questions, which is if you can take this, our direction towards better number recognition as part of an overall accuracy, then we can use that in conjunction with Custom Dictionary and deliver kind of the tailoring that customers need. I'm just looking at the some additional questions that have come up, which is great. Thanks very much, guys, for keep adding them in. Sorry, bear with me a second. It's quite difficult to see the questions. Well, that makes life a little bit easier. Okay. Okay, so cool. So there is a good question in regards to transcribing all of those calls might not actually be cost effective. And so is there an ability to only transcribe a certain amount of calls that are, classed as good? So this is a really good question. It's something that we've looked at previously, but unfortunately, it's not something that we've added to our roadmap as yet. But to understand kind of some kind of sampling, if you will. So that I'm sure there are organizations out there who could do that, but unfortunately, that's not something that we currently have on our roadmap at the moment. But it's great feedback to get, and we've certainly kind of thought about it, but it's just it's not kind of made its way onto our roadmap just yet. So there's a question in regards to chatbots as well. So we have, our language models can be used for that use case. Depending on what those chatbots are. I think there's quite a disparity in the chatbot industry at the moment in regards to command and control type things. So you would have like an Alexa or a chatbot that has a conversational input. So we can certainly, utilize those use cases to do that kind of interaction. In fact, though it's not linked to the contact center, for instance, we partnered with What3Words, and they use our speech recognition engine within their iPhone app their iWatch app to voice enable their app there. So that kind of shows the slightly different models that we have. So a conversational model where you would transcribe long form speech, and also those more short utterances. But yes, you can essentially use our model however you want. So in regards to scale, so there's a good question in regards to how is it possible to handle scale. So SpeechMatic has a variety of different options in regards to deployment. So we can deliver our speech recognition technology within our cloud offering. So you can use our cloud offering, but we understand that for contact centers, this is probably more unlikely due to call security and content of those calls. And we also support virtual appliances and containers are incredibly scalable. So if you have kind of an elastic requirement, then probably containers would be a good option for that. But yeah, we certainly have a variety of deployment options that you could utilize. And please get in touch with us if you wanted to evaluate any of those. Please get in touch, and we can enable that to happen. Omnichannel interactions. So our platform is, as I mentioned, specifically for transforming speech to text. Transcription is what we do. And so we find that our partners within the contact center organizations, what they're doing is they're having quite a lot of text-based interactions, and voice kind of just sits there on the side and isn't able to be processed in the same way that other text spaces are. So what we're doing is by using SpeechMatic to transform those voice interactions into text, then you can combine all of those. It then becomes another text-based input. You can combine all those together, and then you can analyze them all together. Do we train customized models for specific customers? No, we don't. So we have what we call our any context speech recognition product. And so we have one generic model, which we try and enhance with as much diversity, accents and dialects as possible. And then our partners will add things like custom dictionary to bias those towards their specific needs. Do you do information for redacting transcripts? No, we don't. That's not a feature. We did look at it. However, when we evaluated it, our findings were that often the redaction happens either within the audio stream, so it's already redacted before it gets to a transcription level, or that the transcription is required in its entirety, and so a redaction would then happen off the back of that by an additional process. So no, it currently isn't something that we have as part of our product set. So do we have any services for speaker verification or any type of voice? I assume that's biometrics, but I don't have or the whole. Sorry, yes, voice biometrics. So no, we don't have that either, actually. So voice biometrics isn't something that we are focusing on at the moment. What SpeechMatic is focusing on is extending our language diversity and enhancing that language diversity that we have. So making sure that all of our languages that comprise our language offering is as high quality as possible. You know, we are leaders when it comes to automatic speech recognition. That's not only due to the way that we're able to build our languages, but the accuracy that we're able to deliver through those languages. We do that because, I mentioned earlier that we're a machine learning company that actually specializes in speech recognition. That means that the way that we're structured is that we have a machine learning team, an applied machine learning team. Some of you might have seen some of the content that Sam Ringer has put out into the world, which is just fantastic. And if you have an opportunity to check out what Sam's doing and speaking about, I'd thoroughly recommend it because it's incredibly insightful. But it's not just about speech recognition. It's about machine learning as a whole and how we can apply that to improve our processes. In addition and complementary to that, we then have our dedicated speech team. So we're taking those machine learning outputs, we're applying them to speech recognition, and then through the incredible work of the product team, then creating products out of those and pushing those out into the market. And we do that by understanding kind of what our partners are looking for and other people and what they need from the requirements when it comes to ASR. So we focus very much on speech recognition and delivering the best possible accuracy out of those speech products. So I probably should have flipped onto this slide earlier where it's got all of the contact information for SpeechMatic, but if you need more information about SpeechMatic, about the topics that we've covered, about any requirements we've talked about, to share your use cases, to share your experience, to share your feedback, it's fantastic to get that. So please reach out to us. We love getting information from people. So please, I'd encourage you to do that. And again, please go and download the Smart Guide. And I hope that it's insightful there. So with that, I don't have any more questions. So I think that that's going to bring our webinar today to a close. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining. It's been a great session, and really appreciate you interacting with the polls and the questions.